EA Sports. It's in the game. For the first time since NHL 14, the New Jersey Devils have one of their players as the cover athlete. In fact, they have two players as the cover athlete. We have a lot to talk about in today's episode of Locked On Devils. It's the National Hughes League, everybody. Buckle up.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Elliott scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed him. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here on the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play-by-play announcer, Devils writer of Pucks and Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, I am not in my normal studio. I am hunkered down in Airbnb as I embark on my new journey to Florida. If you guys missed it, a few weeks ago, I announced that I accepted an internship with the Florida Everblades, the ECHL affiliate of the St. Louis Blues. I will be joining their broadcast team for this upcoming season. And right now, Locked On Devils is on the go. But like I've told you guys a few weeks ago, I don't plan on stopping this show anytime soon. I don't think this internship is going to take up too much of my time to the point where I can't record an episode. I will be covering the Devils this upcoming season, but you're going to have to be patient with me as right now I am transitioning from one state to another. That's why I'm a little late to give you guys this news, which is Jack Hughes, Luke Hughes, and Quinn Hughes are all cover athletes for this upcoming video game, NHL 25 by EA Sports. In the first segment, I will share my overall thoughts on the announcement. Then in the second segment, I will talk about some features to the game. Will it be enough for me to purchase the game? Because I said in a prior episode that while I'm glad that the Hughes boys are the cover athletes for this video game, I don't know if I want to pay $60 for a roster update. That's just my personal opinion. And then in the third and final segment, I'm not just like any other Karen where I'm just going to complain. I want to share my thoughts as to how NHL can improve their video game series, because if you guys don't know, that's how I got involved with hockey. I played the video game nonstop until I could recite the rules and regulation. So that way I could teach myself, because I couldn't just purchase my own skates, go to a rink and just learn it like any other person. I decided to give my own crash course. And that's how I got into football. That's how I got into NASCAR. That's how I got into baseball. That's how I got into a lot of sports, by just playing the video game and teaching myself the rules and regulations. So I am very adamant when it comes to video games. I'm a bit of a gamer myself, but that'll be to close out today's episode. Let's share my thoughts on the announcement that Jack, Luke, and Quinn will be cover athletes. Worst kept secret in the video game industry, if we're being completely honest, because EA Sports leaked a video onto their YouTube platform and they quickly deleted it, but not before people got their hands on it and said, yeah, it's going to be the Hughes brothers for this upcoming year in terms of cover athletes. And they finally made the news official on Thursday, August 22nd. And I just got to give a shout out to the parents, Ellen and Jim Hughes. Congratulations, because how many people can say that their kids are professional athletes and they're actually very successful at it? Not many people can say that, because it's really hard to reach that level. And the fact that both parents have all three kids performing at the NHL and doing quite well for themselves, that's amazing. And I don't think that's something we should take lightly. And strangely enough, if you look at the deluxe version of the game with all three Hughes brothers on the cover, you can see that Ellen and Jim were given their own lockers, which is, I think, a great homage to both parents, because like I said, it's amazing that all three of their kids ended up in the NHL. And we see that throughout all sports, just brothers competing on the highest level Yes, there's always a brother who's better or a sibling that's better. We see it with the Williams sisters in tennis, the Bush brothers in NASCAR, the Kelsey brothers at the NFL. You see that all throughout sports, and I just love the fact that the Devils have a couple brothers on their team in Jack and Luke. All right, speaking of Luke, he was given some flack on social media because people were like, Luke Hughes, why is he a cover athlete before so-and-so player? I jokingly said on social media that Luke Hughes ended up on the cover of a video game before Connor Bedard, because as we all know, Bedard is one of the most touted NHL players, and he's only played one season, and he won Rookie of the Year to no one's surprise. He was amazing with the Chicago Blackhawks, but people were just like, no. Luke Hughes, why is he the cover athlete? Luke Hughes is not Thanasis Antetokounmpo, which, if you need a reference, Thanasis is the older brother of Giannis Antetokounmpo, and everyone knows who Giannis Antetokounmpo is. NBA champion, one of the best players in this generation, the Greek freak out in the NBA. But his older brother kind of rides his coattails. Like, he rides the end of the Bucks bench. They both play for the Bucks, and people always say, like, why is he taking up a roster spot? This, that, and the third. Luke Hughes is not that. Let me read you some of his stats. Hughes led all rookie defensemen in power play points with 25, power play goals with 4, goals 9, and takeaways 42. He was second in shots with 135, and ice time per game 21 minutes and 28 seconds. All right, so Luke Hughes was always tops in a lot of crucial categories amongst NHL rookies. So I don't know why people are trying to make him out to be some sort of bust or that he's not really lived up to Jack or Quinn. I'm just like, yeah, of course he hasn't, because he only has one full year of NHL hockey under his belt. And remember, Luke did make somewhat of a splash in round 2 against the Carolina Hurricanes during the 2023 playoffs. It just gets overshadowed because the Devils collectively did not have their best efforts. Thus, they got eliminated. But make no mistake, Luke was one of the few minor bright spots, and he's only going to get better. And honestly, he could be just like his brother Quinn and win the Norris someday. And Jack doesn't really have that many accolades under his belt, multi-time All-Star, but people are still waiting for him to get his name into the Hart Trophy race if he could just stay healthy. But nonetheless, it's not like Luke is the cover athlete for his own game, because Jack will be the cover athlete in the United States version, and then everywhere else, Canada and overseas, that's going to be Quinn Hughes. And then the deluxe version features all 3 Hughes brothers, which once again, I think that was the proper thing to do, because all 3 of those Hughes brothers are amazing. And before we transition to the next subject, let's look at some of these screenshots. It's kind of hard to judge a game based on these screenshots alone if you're watching on YouTube, but I think Jack and Quinn look nice. And if you zoom in just a little bit, you can see ice particle details on their uniform. So we'll see what happens in that sort of aspect, but we're going to talk about some features for the game and will I buy it? Because I talked about in the previous episode that I don't know if I want to pay $60 for a roster update. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. I actually have YouTube TV myself, and I love it. My whole family uses it. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com to look at the odds, and please remember to always gamble responsibly. All right, let's talk about the National Hughes League. Just kidding, a little bit of a joke, because you get it, NHL, National Hughes League. All of them are cover athletes. So, well, anyway, getting back on topic, let's look at some of the features for NHL 25. So if you pre-order now, here's some content that you could receive. 7 days early access, 4,600 NHL points, Hut NHL Player Pack, Hut Hockey is Family Objectives Choice Pack, Hut Cover Athlete Choice Pack, 85 overall, 1 of 8, Hut Wildcard Starter Choice Pack, 84 overall, 1 of 6, World of Chell Battle Pass XP Boost ×2, WOC Season 1 Premium Battle Pass, exclusive WOC Player Set, immediate reward in NHL 24, choice of Jack Quinn or Luke Hughes at 99 overall. That's interesting. Luke Hughes, 99 overall. We'll see how that turns out. But let's switch over to something I really want to talk about, which is how is the game going to look and how is it going to feel? Because the one thing I've been complaining about on social media is that I have a bad feeling that NHL 25 is just going to be a recycled NHL 24, NHL 23, NHL 22, and so on. But let's go over some of the information we know so far. October 4th release date, revamped franchise mode. I really want to touch on that in the final segment. New skating mechanics and system, 250 new animations, increased collision avoidance, skill-based one-timers, grudge match presentation and X Factors, World of Chell live events, new technology, which includes presentation and graphics, new strategy and playbook. And here's some more information on the AI player system. Empowered AI, completely overhauled AI player system, heightened CPU skaters' awareness of other players and positioning on the ice, giving them more fluent and helpful reads to execute in a true-to-life fashion, keeping your techniques in motion during high-paced action. New Gen Vision Control, an on-ice evolution that provides fresh abilities, improvements, and user-initiated skating mode that ups the responsiveness, explosiveness, and expression on the ice for human and AI players alike. Reactive actions, a series of brand new animations make skaters more responsive in critical situations, giving them more urgency and ultimately more reliability during plays. And lastly, skill-based one-timers, which is something I just touched on. Read the attacking zone, find an open teammate, and be rewarded with a deadly one-timer you can see, feel, and hear. Skill-based one-timers create true gameplay tension as offensive excitement and expectation mix with defensive concern and anticipation. Okay, what are my thoughts on all of that? This might be controversial, but here's my opinion when I'm playing sports games. When I'm in the zone, when I'm playing the game, I don't really care about this new AI technology where you're able to get someone's shot, their mechanics, their skating ability down to a T. Let's look at another sports game franchise, and that's NBA 2K. Last year, they introduced something where they have the technology to actually nail a player's pull-up ability or their dribble animations, whatever the case might be. Yes, that's exciting, and I guess that can give some players more excitement, especially for the ones who make a career for themselves playing video games. But for the average player like me, I'm not really going to care about the dribble animations or things like that, because as I'm playing the game, the dribble animations just seem more or less the same. Like Steph Curry or LeBron James dribbling, yes, I'm sure there's a difference, but as I'm playing the game, I don't care if Steph Curry is dribbling the ball more in his right hand and LeBron James is dribbling the ball more in his left hand. I don't really care about that. I care more about, like, can LeBron James get past Steph Curry and Steph Curry not like block his shot or something like that? Or can Steph Curry actually make a deep 3-point shot and not have to be wide open to do so? Because in real life, if you give Steph Curry just an inch of breathing room, he's going to make it. That's what I care more about. So all this AI technology, the one-timers in that video where they're scanning the players, things like that, I feel like I've heard that before, but maybe this is just me. Are you just rewording that a little bit just to say, hey, we are making some changes? Because some of the complaints I've been seeing is that people say, like, the graphics have been the same for the past few years. And I do agree with them, which is there really that much of a difference between the PS5 graphics and the PS4 graphics? Has EA Sports taken advantage of next-gen technology? That's my thing. And what gives me hope is that NHL 25 this season is exclusively PS5 and Xbox Series. So I'm sorry, PS4 and Xbox One users, you're going to have to upgrade your system if you hadn't done so already. And maybe the people at EA Sports will focus more on the graphics just a little bit more. Like I said, I shared those screenshots in segment 1 and they did look nice. Maybe we'll see those sorts of changes. But like I said, I don't want to just see like, oh yeah, we're going to get these new animations. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Unless it's blatantly obvious, I don't really care about the minuscule things when I'm playing because, like I said, they're all just going to seem somewhat the same. And I'll talk about some things I actually want to see NHL 25 do in order to make their game better. But first, let me tell you guys about Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work, use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. One of the things I love about Indeed is that I've actually used it before to book myself some play-by-play gigs, and it's super easy to use. I use it to this very day. Highly recommend it. And listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/lockedon. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support my show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/lockedon. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. All right. Like I told you guys, I'm a bit of a gamer. And here are some of the things that I want to see NHL 25 change. One of the things that makes me buy NBA 2K each year is that they change their My Career settings. For any of you who don't know, My Career is the equivalent of Be a Pro in NHL. So the thing about Be a Pro feature is that it's the same thing the past few years. The cutscenes are the same. The choices are the same. It doesn't seem like EA Sports puts that much time into Be a Pro feature on their video game. And that's a little disappointing because that can really get me hooked to a game. That's very addictive. Like I told you guys, one of the reasons why I'm addicted to College Football 25 is because of all the choices I can do. I can enter the transfer portal. I can choose not to study. I could choose to go to a party. I can choose to do this on my off day. I can choose to train. I could choose to practice. I could use my skill points to upgrade my player in this sort of aspect. That's why it's so addictive, because I have so many choices to choose from. And I went from Michigan State to Temple to the University of Michigan for my Road to Glory player on College Football 25. And one of the reasons why I want to play Madden this time around is because I can transfer my college football player to Madden, which makes it that more intriguing. And that's a good marketing strategy on EA Sports, which is you could transfer your college player to the NFL. That's more immersive, if you would. But let's look at what NBA 2K does for their My Career. NBA 2K14, they took it up a notch when the PS4 was released. Like, you got a rival. You weren't just playing games back to back to back. You had choices. You had cutscenes. I think one of my favorite things that NBA 2K did was NBA 2K16, where they hired Spike Lee to basically direct that feature, and you're starring in a Spike Lee joint, which makes it all that more interesting. NBA 2K17, they got Michael B. Jordan to star in it and be your teammate. And you and Michael B. Jordan's character were basically orange juice. You were a tandem duo. NBA 2K19, you went undrafted. You had to go play overseas, and you went over to the G League, and then you made your NBA debut. That was really intriguing because there are some players who do have to go through that, which is they go undrafted and they have to do plan B, C, D in order to get to the NBA. Those are some of the things I want to see NHL 25 do with their Be a Pro feature. Not the same thing from last year, the year before that. Make it more interesting, make it more immersive, something. Because right now it's just like, I can't play a recycled game like that. Or their franchise mode, can you put something more on the line, like do something different with the player morale, or maybe say this player has demanded a trade and you got to trade him out. Or one of the reasons why I like MLB The Show is because baseball is all about strategy. It's all about just trying to put everything together. And one of the features that MLB The Show did a few years ago was like, let's say you had a Venezuelan player, and this Venezuelan player is unhappy because he only has one other person from the same country as him, and he wants 3 people from Venezuela on the team. That can affect his morale. Make it more intriguing, more exciting, especially if this is your star player, because I know the Detroit Tigers, they had Miguel Cabrera, and if I was doing the franchise mode with the Detroit Tigers a few years ago, and my star player, Miguel Cabrera, is unhappy, I got to do whatever it takes to make him happy. So I got to find some other Venezuelan baseball players. That's what I want to see NHL do. And I get that they don't have the same budget as NBA 2K or MLB The Show, Madden. I understand that. But you got to do a little bit something with your game, because you got someone like me who covers the New Jersey Devils. I love the Hughes brothers. Congratulations to them. But I'm not going to pay $60, $70 for a roster update. I can't do it anymore. And before I buy the game, I'm going to watch some YouTube videos to see, is it worth buying? That's just my perspective on it. And like I said, when it comes to video games and how people want it to change, it's subjective. But for me, I want to feel immersive in the game, so that way I can learn more about this player, this team, all that. And NHL just doesn't do it for me. So for the time being, I'm not really going to save my money for NHL 25 until I see if it's worth buying. But that's just my opinion on the matter. But let me know what you guys think. What are some of the changes you would like to see NHL 25 make to their game? Are you going to buy it? Are you going to hold down on it? Curious to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening on podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X Page app at TradeMac4, or the show's X Page app at Locked On Devils. As for today's episode, that's all the time I have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day in New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening once again.